So, since we just talked about taking care of ourselves physically and spiritually and mentally, the next natural topic is delegation. So, we're going to get some ideas from Wesley on why we should delegate and where that idea even comes from and how to do it. So, we know that there's a lot in the Bible about coming together as a group, but is there anything in the Bible about delegation?
Yeah, you actually see delegation in the Bible, Old and New Testament. The first that comes to mind in the Old Testament is with Moses and Jethro, maybe something that most people are not as familiar with. In Exodus 18, Jethro looks at Moses, and I believe it's in verse 18, that he tells him, hey, you can't handle this. There is too much work for you to do. You're going to wear yourself out. That's exactly how the text reads. And so most of us, we're not the kind of, we're not Moses, right? Like I'm just Wesley. You're just you. You're just Shelby. It's like, gosh, it's Moses for crying out loud. And Jethro, and by the way, it was his son-in-law, which is interesting. He says, you can't do this, you can't handle it, you've got to give pieces of this work away. So in the New Testament, what's really interesting is you see it, and it's helpful for our context, you see it in the church, in the book of Acts. In Acts 6, you have the elders of the church, and again, just 6 chapters into Acts. So the church hadn't even got started very long before the elders of the church leaders recognized there is so much work, we can't get to it all. And so that's where you see deacons come on the scene first. So deacons didn't come from a let's have this ministry for the sake of having it. Deacons came on the scene because there was so much work to be done.
Awesome. Okay, so why do you think God was specifically trying to make a point about delegation there? I mean, leaving a model for us as believers now?
Yeah, I think that, community is in our very fabric. Like he's made us, in a sense, to be dependent on one another. And so I think the limitations that we feel are good because it makes us have to rely on each other. And it makes the one another thing have to happen in the church.
Yeah, and it sometimes feels like maybe it's our pride that actually keeps us from relying on other people because we want to think, I can do this. I'm supposed to be the leader here. I should have everything under control. But that's really not always the case.
Yeah, you're never going to be a great leader if you're trying to do everything yourself. And if you think you've got to be the best at everything, you're just going to limit yourself. You're going to limit other people. And most importantly, you're going to limit what God can do. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's huge. So what do you think are just practical ways that as small group leaders we can get other people involved to relieve some of that?
Yeah, that's good. Well, first is I would encourage any leader to begin to observe the skills and giftings of people in your group day one. For example, if you have people that are just natural intercessors, like they really, they're great listeners, they're really just, mercy comes natural to them. Ask them to lead your prayer time, okay? And give them that ball and allow them to facilitate it however they would like.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a person in your group that is naturally bent towards service, or the mission element of a group is really exciting for them. Allow them to plan an outreach. Allow them to plan a service opportunity for your group. And then it's just ask them. I think whenever we point out the gifts in people, it empowers them, right? It makes them feel like, man, I have something to contribute here. And what's amazing is, for a lot of people, nobody's ever pointed out, something that is a good leadership quality in them. So if leaders can do that, man, you better look out. Because, that's when the church is going to multiply crazy.
And that brings to mind, for me, a really important reason to go through a point orientation, because there's a lot of that spiritual gift finding. So it helps people, once they get plugged into a small group, already know. And I think it can be things as simple. Maybe you don't know what someone's spiritual gifts are, but they just like to bake. And so you say, hey, can you bring cookies to small group?
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about food. It can be really simple things like that as well.
So in my small group, I'm pretty boring, right? And my wife is the fun one. And so she does the fun stuff, right? The let's just all come together for dinner tonight and stuff like that. Even just the identify the fun person and let them just go nuts. Like it really it is vital, I think, to the overall health of the group. Yeah.
So once we get these people involved in the groups, what is the end goal of getting people involved as through delegation?
Yeah. So I think there's several things. The first is, and this is something I'm just particularly passionate about, is it's what another session is about. Is about the overall health of the leader, right? You're going to be healthy when you're not trying to do everything, as we've already said. So that's first and foremost. Second is delegation empowers other people. As we said, there are characteristics, qualities, gifts that people have. They don't even realize it, and all it takes is for a leader to point it out in them. And over time, I think what naturally happens in a group is you start to see who could do what I do, right? Yeah. Who in my absence could be a leader. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, I know there are people in my group that could keep it going, right? Whenever the health of an organization, big organization or even as small as a group of 6 to 12 people in a small group, whenever it's dependent on one person, and if that person goes down, there goes the organization. If you're a leader, you've got to want the organization to continue without you. And when you can be about giving pieces away of your leadership, that's going to help to ensure that what you've been working towards, that your influence will continue. I think there's a little side note to this, though. I really think that some leaders carry the burden and fear delegation because the sense of a Superman complex, right? That this makes me feel good about myself to have people depend on me, and I really encourage, if that's what anybody deals with, to give that over to the Lord, because as soon as we think that we are, my grandmother said, too big for our britches. We're setting ourselves up for failure.
And I think it also goes back to some of what you were saying in curriculum about choosing structures that bring group participation, because if all you do each week is just sit in a basic room and just do the study for an hour, then there's really nothing to delegate. So I feel like you have to, if you're thinking, I don't really have anything to delegate, then start looking for ways that you can make your group more involved. Do we have a snack together, like this cookies thing, or, do we meet in each other's homes and things like that? Yeah. There should be reasons that you need to delegate just to have a healthy kind of small group.
Yeah, that's good.
So in order to keep you a healthy small group leader and grow our groups with strong leaders inside of them, delegation is vitally important, and we see it in the very Word of God. This is God's plan for leadership. So take some of the things that we've said and talk them over with another small group leader or with Wesley, and figure out what you can give away to include people in your small group, to take burden off of you, so that you can get back to the things that only you can do for your small group.